I'm sure some of you are immediately wondering what Flanderization means, so I'll start this video off by defining it. The term Flanderization means the act of taking a single trait from a character and exaggerating it more and more over time until it completely consumes the character. The term Flanderization comes from the most delightful neighborino there is, Ned Flanders, referencing the fact that his religiousness became his entire character. The same is applied for our good pal Soldier, except for him, it was his insanity, and unlike The Simpsons, the TF2 writers came up with the perfect excuse for making him a one-note character. Wow, that's a pretty large dragon there. Well, looks like you are pretty worthless to the team. Think you know how mobile games look and work? Well, forget everything because one of the most ambitious RPG projects of 2019 has just been released and it's on the road to changing everything. Introducing Raid Shadow Legends. Playing Raid is the most immersive experience you'll find on a smartphone and is definitely comparable to the biggest PC and console titles. The best part about it is the game is completely free. Everything you'd expect from an RPG title is here. Impressive graphics, immersive and amazing storyline, giant boss fights, PvP battles, and hundreds of champions for you to collect and customize. The quality of the performance this game brings is something I never expected, especially on my out-of-date for phone standards iPhone 7. The detail in these champions' models are crazy. To make this even better, Raid's special launch tournament is happening right now, and it's filling up fast. So go to the description of this video, and if you download Raid through my link, you'll get 50,000 silver immediately. And here's the best part. You'll automatically be entered into the special launch tournament where you can compete with me and other people for both in-game prizes and physical prize packs that come included with figurines, power banks, t-shirts, and more. Good luck and I'll see you in there. Soldier here started off like all of the mercenaries, as a stereotype. His stereotype was that of a crazy patriotic American, someone who loved America way too much. However, as the years went on, the writers exaggerated his craziness, making him both the start and butt of many jokes. Now, normally Flanderization doesn't work, as it ends up destroying the characters since exaggerating traits doesn't generally work out for the best, due to it violating the character's original character and making them unrealistic. Common examples of this are the aforementioned Ned Flanders and the later seasons of The Office. However, in this case, I argue that not only did Flanderization work, but the writers came up with the single greatest and most logical reasoning for this degradation of character. First off, we should discuss how Soldier's mentality has degraded over the years. It's safe to assume that Soldier already had a severe case of schizophrenia before joining the Gravel Wars. His delusions are the most telling sign that he has this disorder, but as I talk about this mental disorder, remember, I'm not a doctor or a psychologist. Now, for those who don't know, Soldier was said to have been rejected from every branch of the military during World War II. So, instead, he bought himself a plane ticket and went on a Nazi killing spree alone, only to find out the war had ended long before he started his spree. His belief to be a real soldier and war hero, despite only making it as a mercenary, is his main delusion. Delusions are broken up into these 6 categories you see on screen, 2 of which can be easily seen within Soldier's interactions with others. Persecutory delusions are those that make a person feel as though they're being stalked, hunted, framed, or tricked. The best example of this is within the War comic, as the administrator's lackey was trying to deliver him a message. The general layout and construction of the apartment is in a similar manner to a bunker. Soldier flips a table that acts as a shield as he threatens the messenger for simply appearing at his apartment. As for the second type of delusion, Soldier definitely has grandiose delusions, meaning he considers himself to be a major figure, someone important that's done something important, despite the fact that he has not. Soldier believes himself to be a real soldier, despite having been rejected from every branch of the military, likely due to his mental state, and even made himself fake medals for his efforts within the war, honestly believing them to be real. So, going into Soldier's character, you could already see that the man wasn't right in the head, with Meet the Soldier being a great showcase that this man was insane. However, in the beginning, Soldier still had some sanity and wasn't overshadowed by his patriotism or craziness. Once again, take Meet the Soldier for an example. All the things he says prior to the line about an arc, I believe are just due to what he himself believes. Soldier likely believes Sun Tzu did invent the modern day of fighting and perfected it. That's not related to mental decline, that's just his personal belief. Like a lot of characters over time, Soldier began to have his craziness exaggerated to the point where he decided wrestling a bear, bare naked, covered in honey, was the way to go while they were in the Siberian tundra. I believe his permanent character shift occurred during the comic Doommates, as his actions are fully akin to what he's like nowadays in the newest TF2 comic, The Naked and the Dead, which is over 2 years old and still hasn't gotten a proper conclusion. Before I get off track, Soldier's character shift had slowly begun occurring through both the games and the comic's life. As time went on, Soldier's sanity and judgment slipped further and further down, with this first really occurring during a blog post on July 15th, 2009. For some reason, they decided to let Soldier be the one to address the community, for the reason this time being to promote the addition of new Steam avatars. Aside from this entire thing being Soldier-fied, not much seems out of the ordinary aside from the last paragraph. In it, Soldier says, "Fried green tomatoes, don't cry all over 'em when you're painting pictures of poems tonight, or you might electrocute yourselves." Now, that doesn't necessarily sound like a schizophrenic response to me, but rather more like insane gibberish. Throughout the Dr. Gordbort's comic featuring his delusions in a full swing to a Smith story showing his overly insane actions becoming a regular thing, seriously, how on earth did he convince Marasmus to make him a real lawyer? We start to see Soldier becoming the full-on comic relief of an already comedic world. It's true that the comics were where Soldier's character began to take a sharp turn down crazy street, but this also bled into the shorts as well as the game itself. In Expiration Date, the entire climax is his fault because he was under the impression he was supposed to use his last 3 days alive to teleport bread. Even if this was just a misunderstanding, many actions he does throughout the short really shows how dumb they made him. Whether that be counting slowly to the number 3 on his fingers, or acting very happy with his actions as he gets thrown across the room by mutated bread. Soldier is definitely on a different plane when compared to the version that existed in Meet the Soldier. With the way Soldier's character was degrading into an idiotic imbecile, the writers had to come up with a reason for such a drastic character change, when in comparison, the other mercenaries had gone on to round out their characters. And come up with an excuse they did, an excuse that makes almost perfect sense within the world. In a panel of unhappy returns, we see Miss Pauling say, "That mill you've been fighting over has been leaking chemicals into the groundwater for a generation. This is an entire town of lead poison idiots. That's why we give you guys bottled water." To which Soldier replies, "Bottled what now?" Implying that he didn't know about the water they were being supplied with and instead spent around the past 4 years consuming lead poison water. Now, why is this excuse such a well-made one when it comes to degrading Soldier's character into what it is today? Well, let's look at the effects of lead poisoning real quick. Common symptoms of it include, but are not limited to, raised blood pressure, abdominal pain, muscle pain, anemia, memory loss, decline in mental functions, headache, hallucination, metallic taste in mouth, mood disorders, and most importantly, infertility. Soldier fits into 3 of these for sure, all of which we've seen occur within the comics. So, the excuse of Soldier being lead poison fits perfectly within the steady mental decline we've seen through the years. So the main question here is, why did Flanderization work so well for Soldier even though the term is usually considered to be negative? To sum it up in one all-encompassing word, stereotypes. I will reiterate this as many times as I need in however many videos I need to, but all the mercenaries are based off of stereotypes. This simple fact is why it works. The mercenaries were already exaggerations, and considering the asinine world TF2 takes place in, Soldier's extreme stupidity and insane actions aren't out of the ordinary. In fact, they fit in just fine. Remember, this is a world with a radioactive metal that makes people buff and gives them mustaches. This is a world with life-extending machines and 2 rich men fighting over piles of gravel that eventually get murdered by their own brother who was raised by eagles. This world makes no sense. However, there is one plot hole in this excuse. Within the same bubble that the lead poisoning is mentioned, it states that the town of Twofort had been affected for an entire decade. In a Smith story, when the Mercs are on trial for destroying a mall Santa training facility, the Twofort judge they're appearing in front of seems completely sane and doesn't believe their made-up excuse of a payload charity exploding. Additionally, all the Twofort citizens we see within the comic are very normal and show no signs of lead poison minds. While this does take place earlier within the timeline, considering Pauling has been saying it's been leaking chemicals for a generation, they should already have been acting like they do in Unhappy Returns long before the Merc's first trial during Smithmas. Aside from that little oversight, which does actually tell us that the lead poisoning was simply an excuse for Soldier's increasingly asinine actions, the excuse of Soldier being poisoned by lead still holds up as legitimate due to how crazy the existing world and characters were, Soldier's main draw to his character, and the real effects of lead poisoning and what it does to people. So remember, the next time you either intentionally or accidentally Flanderize a character, be sure to come up with an almost rock-solid excuse as to why that character became a one-dimensional fictional person. Who knows, maybe the lead poisoning explanation will work out for you too. Or if you don't want to plagiarize, choose any of the elements on the periodic table. I'm sure most of them can be used for proper reasons.